I think one of the biggest challenges that PMOs have with executives is what I call ADD, attention deficit disorder, which I'm not judging, okay? If you look at an executive and how many, I was going to pass this on to you as a suggestion. I'm sure you've been to the circus and you've seen plate jugglers.
Yeah,
you know ones with the sticks? I often feel that a PMO or a portfolio manager is like that. Or an executive is like that, right? You got plenty of plates and one is wobbling and you have to do this and you focus on, and you're kind of erratic, right? So I think one of the challenges the executives have is that we have compiled such a large framework of cause and effect and explanations and philosophies for what we do. Most executives look at us and their fuse burns through.
Yeah, true.
Right?
True.
And when I train people to speak in the language of executives, I ask them, what are the two main priorities of an executive?
Yeah.
They look at me just like if you would ask it, what's the main two priorities of a PMO? An executive would say, I wouldn't know. And I said, let me put it, these are their pains. They are judged on an annual basis for their fiscal value. Okay? It's a quantitative, Machiavellian, hardcore power play. What is the company worth today, and what is it worth in 1 year from now? And if you're not increasing the value, you're gone. Which creates huge pressure. Shareholder value creates huge pressure because you sometimes sacrifice midterm, long-term for the short-term, which can be a nightmare, right? And the second thing, so that's a very mathematical quantitative. And the second thing is almost ethereal, esoteric. And a lot of executives are not even aware of this. And the simplest word, a beautiful word, is vision.
I agree.
Everybody feels the word vision, but I said, do you actually understand what an emotional, psychological terror vision is? You know what vision is? Vision is in the absence of certainty, what will come in the future because of volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. To put your foot down with conviction and say, this is the way we're going.
Yeah.
It's almost a psychopathic quality.
Absolutely. And it brings trust.
Yes.
So everything connects.
Yeah. And if you cannot translate your effort into those two languages, what's the bottom line? If I was, I always shock project managers. I love to do financial management with them, and they always like start leaning in their chairs and they start huffing and puffing when I talk about internal rate of return or net present value. They're like, ugh. I'm like, you got to know this, and these are they're not difficult words if you look behind the curtain.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you can't speak in that language, you don't have attention, and if you can't be brief in what you're saying, and I think that's our biggest challenge as PMO advocates is how can we say the wonderful, beautiful things that we say, but in a way that maybe the person doesn't know all the details that we then know, but emotionally they're on board.
Yes.
I think that's the big challenge.